Welcome to the Unpacking It live podcast presented by Medishare. I'm Bryce Johnson. Hope you're doing great today. For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with the Unpacking It community of sports fans. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel. Just search Unpacking It. Also, our podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe there. Also, rate, review, share. We greatly appreciate that. In just a little bit, we will do our segment, Unpack This. That takes a sports story, relates it to the Bible, relates it to our own lives, and we send out a devotional with a similar topic Monday, Wednesday, Friday, through email. And so you can subscribe for free on our website, unpackingit.com/subscribe, to make sure that you get Unpack This in your email inbox. But man, it is great to be here on this Monday following Thanksgiving, kind of getting my bearings. I'm a couple pounds heavier today, so trying to, make my way up and down the stairs here at the studio. But here we are, a little after 2, but glad to have you with us. And it is one of those days where the format is full. We've got tons of ideas, tons of topics. The headlines are so full, and today's theme is being full. And so we will get to that even more in just a little bit. But in college football, you've got the coaching carousel, which I find fascinating. The news coming out of Oklahoma today is mind-boggling with Lincoln Riley leaving to USC, and what does that look like, and what does that mean? And then how about the weekend in college football? Saturday was fantastic. The Michigan-Ohio State game is always so much fun, and the fact that Michigan finally got it done with Jim Harbaugh, that was cool to see. So that was a special game. And then we followed that up with a tight, down-to-the-wire Auburn-Alabama game, and all of a sudden the game ended. That was a weird ending with the 2-point conversions. I'm sure Luke wasn't too thrilled about that, so we'll get his thoughts in just a moment. And then also in the NFL yesterday, there are a number of teams that are pulling away, that are saying, hey, we're the cream of the crop. And then you've got all these other teams down at the bottom fighting for a playoff spot, down to the playoff standings. It's like, who wants that last spot? Like, what are the Chargers doing? Panthers, Eagles, they apparently don't want in. Vikings, what are they doing? The Steelers have said, all right, we're out. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next year. We'll see you next year with a new quarterback. So thanks, Pittsburgh. It was a fun year. Thanks for the little glimmer of hope you gave us a few weeks ago. But they're done. And so what about the San Francisco 49ers saying, hey, don't forget about us. We don't care about Trey Lance. We just wasted a top pick. I'm not going to say wasted. We just used a top pick. Could have used somebody maybe to help us this year, but we'll worry about our future. We got Jimmy G and Deebo Samuel who's carrying us. And then the Tennessee Titans finally woke up and said, yeah, it's going to be tough to win. It's going to be tough to win without Derrick Henry, even though they actually ran the ball pretty well. But then you add in A.J. Brown, you add in Julio Jones. It's like, they got practice squad guys. It's unbelievable. But then New England said, yeah, we're going to be here for a while. We're going to be in the mix. Tommy, we hope to see you in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm rooting for. I know that much. I'm rooting for Patriots, Bucks in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, my Carolina Panthers just got the news moments before we went on air. Christian McCaffrey done for the year. Oh, the ramifications. Oh, the talk here in Charlotte. It's wild. So we'll touch on that. Luke's Cowboys lost on Thanksgiving. So let's say hello to Luke. We'll hear from Henry in just a little bit as well. But Luke, how was Thanksgiving other than your boys losing and disappointing everyone? And I thought the Raiders were done. So I called the Raiders done a couple weeks ago. Maybe not. Maybe they're keeping it interesting. So how are you? How you feeling after the long weekend?
Well, gosh, I have some discomfort playing the injury card, but I'm going to play it again for my dear Cowboys. I'm going to come to their defense. You're still missing 50% of your pass catching yards. No CeeDee Lamb, no Amari Cooper. You're still missing your 2 defensive ends, which is an unbelievable loss for most teams. So I'm going to play that card again. And even though I'm very much team Tony Pollard, an unhealthy
Me too.
Zeke. So, but nonetheless, a very winnable game. Went to overtime, so I almost, this may sound crazy to some people. I would rather lose than tie in the NFL.
There you go. I'm
Seeing
okay.
seeing that third digit on your record, the wins, losses, and then ties, just let me lose. Let me lose. I don't want to tie. You go to overtime to win. So the fact that it didn't end in a tie salvaged that game, because
There you
if
go.
it would have ended a tie, it would have been horrific.
So did you
So yeah.
follow up the loss with an extra piece of pumpkin pie, or were you okay following the loss?
So here's the thing. I dominated some food this weekend, and it was funny. It was with my wife's family. Kind of first time hanging out around a lot of them. Met a lot of them at the wedding, and they're all over the country, and they don't every year all come together. So this year they're at the grandparents' house, and I mean I'm putting back food, and Madeline's grandpa says, "Yeah, I remember when I could eat like that," and it kind of hit me. I better take advantage of this metabolism while it lasts,
Do
because
it.
it won't last forever, and I can get away with it. So I'm just going to stuff my face until I can't. But going into Thanksgiving, again, not knowing many people, I just obviously know my father-in-law and mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and then obviously my wife. Haven't
Oh,
spent
you
a
do?
ton of exactly, yeah. Just had to confirm that. Uh, haven't really spent a lot of time with everyone, but the first 30 seconds, I knew it was going to be a good weekend. I
Ooh.
walk in, Madeline's uncle comes in. His opening line to me is, "Hey, I got a fantasy football question." And I
Now we're
knew
talking.
from then
Nice.
on, which I didn't know how much he knew about me. So maybe it was a risk on his end to just fire a fantasy football question, hoping I was a sports fan. But before he even said hi, is, "Hey, I got a fantasy
Research.
question." And we hit it off. So it was a good weekend talking to the uncle. So yeah.
I like it. It's always, yeah, if you can have a go-to uncle, that helps.
It's a
It's
game
always
changer.
nice.
It's a game
Yeah,
changer.
that really is. So I'm glad you're able to find that.
So
My
Thanksgiving, though, with 2 daughters. So another daughter for Thanksgiving this year.
it was an adventure. Maddie moved to the kids table. So she actually did a great job. She ate on her own. I didn't necessarily have to, kind of feed her the whole time. So that was pretty good. So I was able to nestle in. So my strategy on Thanksgiving was, actually, we celebrated the next day, but on Friday, I sat in an end table or an end chair, and I basically sat there the entire afternoon. So people came and sat down. I interacted. They walked around me. I was kind of in the center of the action, but I just plopped there, and I'm a slow eater. And so I just ate and ate and ate while mingling without having to get up. So it was actually very nice. It was a very nice setup for me, and it turned out well. My big question and takeaway that I wanted to bring up on the show and get some feedback on. So coming up, Christmas time, it's exciting, and you're kind of stepping into this, the in-laws and the family. What do you do for gifts? And we'll talk about that as weeks come up. But the question is, when someone gives you an article of clothing at a previous Christmas, do you make the point of wearing that item when you're with them, or does that indicate this is the only time I'm wearing it, and I'm only wearing it so that you see that I'm wearing it, so that you get that little bit of credit for, hey, I love the shirt, thank you so much, even though I'm only going to wear this on Thanksgiving when I know that you're there? Who's wrong? Who's right? What is the strategy to this? Because I just implemented this. I'm not going to say who gave it to me, but someone gave it to me, and I wore it on Thanksgiving. It may have been a little itchy. I don't know, but I wore it, and I got credit, and it was acknowledged.
You did get credit by the person who gave it to you?
Yes, twice. So I got 2. Oh, you look great in that. Well, thank you. You gave it to me. So here it is. Here I'm wearing it. I've got it on. I never wear it any other time, but I'm wearing it today just for you. So is that okay?
Oh, that's a tough one. So my father-in-law is very good about wearing things that people give him, but I think he genuinely likes them. So, every shirt he wore over Thanksgiving was a birthday gift from his previous birthday. But he likes those shirts, and I know he wears those.
No, he doesn't. He's lying.
I know for a fact he wears them outside on normal weeks. And then I gave him some old A&M shirts because he went and they're all Aggies as well. Now, I have not confirmed if he wears them outside of when I'm around him, but he always wears them when I am with him. So it's a tough question. Reflecting on my own perspective on what I do, if I don't like it, I'm just not going to wear it. I don't know.
Ever. You're just burying it in the closet, or are you actually giving it away?
Well, it's a mix because I definitely have a hoarding mentality on. Well, I could use this. Entertaining. Well, what if I need it in 25 years? I got to make sure to have it on hand. Maybe need to correct that a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a little picky. I not picky. I just have go-tos where I just want to wear them over and over again. I've got a small arsenal of things that I just really enjoy wearing. And I definitely have some people-pleasing tendencies in other areas, but wearing a gift, I just don't know. Historically, I just don't do it. If I don't like it, you're probably not gonna see it on me.
Wow, the only thing. So early on in our marriage, Jody thought that I was going to be way cooler than I am, and she thought that I might actually get away from kind of the classic look. So I just wear kind of clothes that I could have worn 20 years ago. I can still wear it today. I'll be able to wear them 20 years from now. Just standard clothes, right? Well, one Christmas, she got me a denim jacket with corduroys, with a cream, almost like a cream orange, not orange, but like a khaki corduroy pants. And I put them on. I go, this isn't me. I can't pull it off. I'm not cool enough for this. So I'm not Jay Leno, and I'm not cool enough.
I don't know if cool enough is the correct. I don't know if that's cool in general.
I feel like they were corduroy, maybe not so much, but maybe the denim jacket of some sort. But I said, this was early on in the marriage. We're not going to start this. I'm not going down this path. This is a dangerous path. I'm out. So we did have to return those, and now
good call.
We played it a little safer since then. So
you
see, you got to be careful. Your first year of marriage, you got to set the tone early.
That's true.
Don't get caught down any crazy paths.
If you're
a punk rock star or something, I don't know.
Well, if you ended up wearing that just to please her, guess what you're getting in the next birthday?
That's right.
Or the next Christmas. You just got to bite the bullet there.
I would have had all new friends. I maybe would have pierced an ear. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was heading. It was heading down a dangerous path. I didn't like who I was. As soon as I put that jacket on, those corduroys, it was something else.
Well, so if someone gives you an article of clothing, it is kind of a different question. Do you put it on immediately? Do you need to wear it that day? Like, oh yeah, I'll go try it on. Or do you just kind of, oh, nice. And then you just, I'm just going to continue wearing what I have on today.
It depends. So usually Christmas, I'll go all in, and I'll try to put everything on. So if I get multiple clothing items, they'll all go on at one time and kind of add to it throughout the day to see what that turns out to be. So that's kind of the silliness of me on Christmas Day.
I enjoy paying attention to it's like the Seinfeld bit where Jerry says, if you repeat the gift, if you say the name of the gift out loud, they don't like it. Oh, a labeler.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
If someone says the name out loud, that's the sign. This gift isn't it.
Oh, a sweater. Yes. Oh, a sweater. Yeah, that's it. Wow. I've got it down. I get it. I appreciate it. So there you go. More Christmas talk as the weeks go on, leading up to our Christmas special. It'll be year number 2 with Luke and I. So we debuted that. That was actually the precursor to this live show.
That was.
We had so much fun on the Christmas show, and then we started doing a live show on Mondays at the beginning of this year. So we will get back to that coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm 1.5 Hallmark movies in, so I've got lots to talk about on the Christmas special.
Wow.
But we'll save that. So I know you've got lots of questions.
My only comment, you brought up Hallmark. I'm about 15 in.
So. Oh, you're already 15 in. You got way more time than I do. So I have limited time. So, and speaking of that, our topic today is all about being full. And what are we full of? And so we're going to do the Unpack This topic in just a moment. But before we jump in, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Medishare. Man, we're so excited to be partnered with them. And my wife and I, we've been Medishare members for over 5 years. Medishare has provided us with an affordable and effective way to pay for healthcare. And we just want to make you aware of this option. And so we've made it really easy for you. Just text the word unpack to 201-201. So the number is 201-201, and then use the word unpack so that it'll trigger some information for you so that you can find out all about Medishare, figure out if it's an option for your family. Medishare is an innovative healthcare solution for Christians looking to save money without sacrificing on quality. They're the nation's largest healthcare sharing community. And so Medishare members take comfort in knowing their eligible medical expenses will be shared by their community. And so it's a wonderful option. So check it out. You can text the word unpack to the number 201-201. So definitely check that out. All right, let's do what we're convinced of. We want to hear what you're convinced of as well. If you're listening right now, and those of you that listen to the podcast later, shoot me an email, Bryce@unpackingit.com. Let us know what you're convinced of. And this is a fresh take for me. This is not written down. This is off the top of my head. We'll say hello to Henry. We'll bring him on for what I'm convinced. We'll hear what he's convinced of in a moment as well. He'll also do tap drill. So we've got a full show today. Lots to get to.
Full show.
But here's what I'm convinced of. I'm convinced it is time for the Carolina Panthers to move on from Christian McCaffrey. And along with that, I am convinced that paying running backs is a huge mistake. You have to take advantage of young running backs. You draft running backs, you play them for their first 3 years, and then you have to move on. It's almost so obvious at this point. It makes sense. Now, what's interesting is Leonard Fournette scored 4 touchdowns yesterday, and he was drafted right before Christian McCaffrey, but the Jaguars already moved on from him. We saw how they did yesterday without Leonard Fournette. But that example aside, you look at the Tennessee Titans. You know, you invest so much in Derrick Henry, but these guys take such a pounding year in, year out. Dalvin Cook in Minnesota takes a pounding. He was out. He's injured. We'll see if he comes back. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but he missed the end of yesterday's game, and the Vikings lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Whereas you go the San Francisco 49ers route, they've got different running backs all the time, and they've got Elijah Mitchell, a nice young rookie that they drafted. They drafted 2 rookies. One of them panned out. Trey Sermon did not. And then I look at teams like your Giants, Henry, Saquon Barkley. You know, they got the win yesterday, but he's been in and out of the lineup. I'm not sure how reliant they can be on him and paying him big money in the future. You know, the Steelers, you know, they let Le'Veon Bell go years ago. And where's Le'Veon Bell, right? And so I just think back to the teams that have won Super Bowls, the Chiefs, the Bucks of recent years, all those Tom Brady Super Bowls. They're not paying running backs big money. That's not the way they did it. Even Leonard Fournette's on a deal in Tampa Bay. And then Kansas City, you know, they've had guys in and out of their backfield and do it by committee. So for the Panthers, I love Christian McCaffrey. He's a tremendous player. He's so talented. But at this point, the Panthers used him up. They gave him so many touches. They relied too heavily on him. And that now they've invested so much money in him that they haven't paid enough money on the offensive line. So now he can't even thrive. He can't even have a successful season because there are no holes. And then he got hurt yesterday. He's on IR, and now he's out for the season, and it's another lost season for him. And so I'm convinced it's time to move on. Time to move on, invest in rookie running backs, and make the most of it. Luke, what do you think?
Well, you know that I agree with your take completely. We both have been a part of on board the Tony Pollard train forever. Zeke's banged up. Pollard looks like he might get the start this week. So fantasy pro tip there.
That's right.
He's certainly going to get more carries. Zeke could lose his job. I really think so. No one on the Cowboys coaching staff was there when they drafted Zeke. No one was there when they extended him. I think we're realizing quickly Pollard's the guy, at least for like a 65% share of the load. I'm going to take I'm convinced back to Thanksgiving just because this is the first year I actually made food for the meal. And I am convinced it allows you to appreciate Thanksgiving more when you are responsible for at least preparing one dish.
Absolutely.
One, because when you make a crowd favorite, you're on top of the world.
It's a
You are
nice
on
family.
top of the world. And you also get to appreciate the food more. Now, as a kid, I just wanted to sit and soak. I'm there to eat. Don't ask me to do anything else. I'll have some small talk with some family that I don't see that often, and then I'll latch on to the family I really like, and I'm just going to eat. And I'll watch football, and that's it. Call me harsh, but that was my perspective as a middle schooler and high schooler, and I guess in college as well. But now that's right. Now I have responsibility. So this year, the wife and I, we made buttermilk pie, which was the first time.
Buttermilk pie?
Buttermilk pie. It was tremendous.
Well, I don't even know what that is. I assume
It's just
buttermilk.
sugar. It's really simple. It's just sugar, buttermilk, like some other things, and then some lemon zest. Very good.
Some other things.
Normal pie, normal crust, normal pie things. And then we made corn casserole, which was also tremendous. But the crowd favorite that I was working hard on in the kitchen, bacon wrapped jalapeno poppers.
Ooh.
So
it does not sound like Thanksgiving.
Well, here's the thing. Madeline's parents said, "Hey, bring something. What are you guys going to bring?" And I said, "You know what? I'm going to change it up this year. I'm going to bring some bacon wrapped jalapeno poppers." Madeline and I love making them. I can't stop eating them. My goodness, were they a crowd favorite. I put them out as like a late morning, early afternoon teaser for the 2 o'clock. As an appetizer for the 2 o'clock Thanksgiving meal. Around 12 o'clock, the poppers were there, and they were gone in about 15 minutes. And I made about 24, and it was an incredible feeling. I actually provided. I felt like a grown man, and they were delicious. So I'm convinced, provide a dish your next Thanksgiving. It's so worth it.
I'm very proud of you. That's great. It sounds like you contributed multiple items. However, I have a strict philosophy. Don't go big on game day early. You got to wait for the meal. So I go light in the morning, just enough to time me over, just enough so that my coffee, I can settle my coffee. That's it. So I need a little bar in the morning, and then I am fasting until mealtime. Now it gets a little, dicey when mealtime extends an extra hour. Hey, the turkey's not ready yet, which I explained last week. It happened again this year with another family. So again, I'm the common denominator here, but I had to wait for the food to be ready. But the jalapeno poppers, see, I'd go too heavy on them. Then I'm filled up on those, and then I don't have room for what we're there for. So that's my concern with that, Luke. And speaking of contributions, guess what I contributed this year? I put the sweet potato pie or sweet potato casserole in the oven. That's it. That's all I did. And I took it out. So give it up for me. Thank you. Poor Jody was peeling sweet potato after sweet potato.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, can you handle putting it in and taking it out? I think I can. I think I'm going to do that this year. So the satisfaction when everyone enjoyed those sweet potatoes. Just the right temperature. Just in there long enough.
That's a big roll.
Right. Yeah.
That's a big roll. Leave it in too long, it's ruined. So that's a big roll there.
There you go. All right, Henry, what are you convinced of on this Monday morning following Thanksgiving?
What's going on, boys? Now, before I get to what I'm convinced about, let's take the Thanksgiving Day experience a step further. Now, me in particular, I believe in letting the stars be the stars. So I believe letting my wife, letting my mother-in-law handle all the cooking. I'm the role player in the Thanksgiving Day experience. I help clean the house. I take out the garbage. I go get the groceries. I clean up the house. I make sure the kids clean up their rooms. I'm the role player. I'm the sixth man off the couch, making sure everything else is done. Or on the couch, however you put it, and making sure everything else surrounding the meal is all set. I make sure that the kids are showered, their room is done, and That's where I'm at. I play my role well. So I'm the sixth man on the couch doing everything else to prepare for the meal.
I like that. Yeah, that's my role too. I did get called into the kitchen to help with the cutting of the meat. We had ham and turkey. I slid over to the ham because it was like the peel off ham. You know, it's like pre-sliced.
Yeah.
So the turkey seemed way overwhelming. I was like, yeah, my brother-in-law handled that. So I did the ham. So I did get called in off the bench. So I know what you mean, Henry. Normally I try to slide in the background. I like to be like the guy on the end of the bench with the towel cheering. Like, that's more my guy. That's more my strategy. I was asked to be the starting quarterback. Like now all of a sudden I'm dealing with the ham and potentially the turkey. And I go, no. I'm just going to hand it off. I don't want to do that. So,
but you called an audible. You checked it down.
Yeah, you do the little check down. There you go. But what I am but what I am convinced about, I'm going to go to the world of college football. I believe that the SEC got sold a bill of goods with Oklahoma. Because what they thought they were getting Lincoln. They thought they were going to get Lincoln Riley. They thought they were going to get Spencer Rattler. They thought that they were going to get the perennial Big 12 experience coming down to the SEC. Oh, how things change within 24 hours. Not only is Lincoln Riley bolting to the West Coast, Spencer Rattler has just decided he's going into the transfer portal, and the 5-star recruit that was gonna go to Oklahoma, he decided that he was gonna pull his letter of intent, and so now he's not going to Oklahoma, along with 4 other 4 or 5-star recruits. So when the SEC thought that they were gonna get a diamond in the rough, no, they just got the rough.
Well, as far as some of the current players, I mean, it's hard to you're banking on the next 10, 20, 50 years of Oklahoma football. But I do think your take on Lincoln Riley, not getting him, and we'll see who replaces him. Because I was read something earlier today, which I think is a fair concern. Could Oklahoma head the direction of Nebraska, where, a once storied school and program, and they just kind of get left behind. And to me, not everybody's going to be great in the SEC. I've got a South Carolina friend that just speaks so highly of his school, even though they stink. And it's like, oh, we're in the SEC. Okay, great. Well, you get to be one of the last place teams in the SEC. So, I understand why Lincoln Riley left. It's going to be hard to win in the SEC, especially with, Alabama will always be in the mix, even if Nick Saban leaves. But I guess potentially they take a step back then. But and Georgia's going to be there for a while. Georgia's building something special. We can expect that. So, go to USC, and Pac-12's pretty winnable. So,
yeah, he gets to go be the star. He's in a great opportunities. He just has great resources there. You're on the West Coast. You have a storied program. You're the guy. A failing Pac-12 outside of Oregon, I guess. But he way more opportunity to be very successful instead of the SEC. So, I mean, it in some sense, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the trickle effect, and what happens next for Oklahoma, and then also just even hearing some NFL names being thrown around now. The LSU job's still open, so there is a lot to get to. We'll try to get to some of that today on the show, but we'll probably get to more of it as the weeks come on, and a little bit more clarity with some of these openings. I'm just glad that Napier is leaving Louisiana, because that's App State's big rival. So he's going to Florida. So goodbye. Yeah. We'll see you. Now we don't have to worry about them anymore. But I guess we still play him in the Sun Belt Championship.
That's right. Big game, and he's coaching them.
Oh, he is. I was wondering about that.
Yes,
he is going to coach them. Okay, good. Well, we'll end his tenure there with a loss. I like that.
There you go. There you go.
Good.
I like the way you think.
They beat us earlier this year, embarrassed us on a Tuesday night. So I promise App State will take care of business. Guarantee it. There you go. We'll talk to you.
Don't go away with the smile. Just go away.
The Sun Belt win. That's right. Championship win. All right. Well, let me jump into unpack this, and we'll hear from these guys a little bit more moving forward. And so, as I've mentioned multiple times, we come off Thanksgiving and most of us, we feel full, right? We're just, man, I ate so much food. I felt full all weekend long. Delicious pumpkin pie, lots of sweet potato casserole. Someone brought brownies to Thanksgiving. Those were delicious. I got full on those
That's
last night.
interesting. Brownies is interesting.
It was, but they were delicious, I gotta say. So I've enjoyed those the last couple of days. And so I've started the eggnog. I'm in on the eggnog, so that's delicious. A vanilla flavored eggnog, which is nice. So so kind of a unique flavor there. But apple cider. So we're just full this time of year with the holidays, right? We're full because of food, but then also what happens? Our schedules get full.
Yep.
Right. I mean, we got family responsibilities. There's so many activities, school functions, work functions, church functions. If we want our schedules to be full, they can be full. And oftentimes we get caught up in that. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. I gotta do this. This is a tradition, and this is part of the holidays. And well, yeah, I'm responsible to this person, and I gotta say yes to this and yes to that. And so we have full bellies, full schedules, and hopefully, we're full of enjoyment and joy as we experience friends and family and these fun activities. I know this is a wonderful time of year. I love it all. I try to do as much as I can, and I fill my calendar in a big way. The other thing, though, this time of year is always hard for me as a sports fan because the sports calendar is full. I mean, Saturday, all the great games. At noon, it kicked off with Michigan and Ohio State, and then it went all day long with game after game and multiple games going on at once.
Yep.
Sunday, same thing. Yesterday's Sunday slate of games was really strong. Not only the games didn't necessarily turn out to be tight, close games as like we had hoped, maybe,
but meaningful games.
But very meaningful games. And I thought we actually got a little bit more clarity after yesterday too. Just a couple teams that I think are out now. Which I mentioned earlier, but it was a full slate. And now coming up this week, we've got games. You got college basketball throughout the week. You got the NBA throughout the week. You got the Pac-12 championship Friday night. You got Saturday, the rest of the championship games
Shout out to English Premier League soccer for all you soccer fans out there. Saturday mornings. I'm there with you. You.
Okay. So there you go. I'm not. I'm watching Barney or Mr. Rogers. But, we'll get into some Christmas movies this time of year.
Yeah.
But we've added Barney to the rotation. So I grew up a little bit on. I think I did. But anyway, he's
with the daughters. For those of who are just now tuning into the show, with his
yeah.
daughters.
2-year-old. I found Barney, and we're now into Barney. So the point is, our schedules are full. Whether you're talking Christmas, whether you're talking food and eating, or whether you're talking sports, we are full. Okay, and as I started thinking about this, I just started wondering, okay, what about our lives? What about our minds? What about our hearts? What are we full of? What are we filling our minds with? What are we filling our lives with? And when it comes to thoughts and emotions and feelings, are we full of worry and fear, or are we full of joy and peace? If we fill our minds with the news, we'll lean toward the worry and the fear and all that. But some of that's reality as well. But then also the question is, are we full of ourselves, or are we full of humility? Is our mind full of negative thoughts or hopeful ones? Are we full of anger and bitterness, or are we full of compassion and grace? Are our lives full of deep relationships, meaningful fellowship, and sacrifice to others, or is it full of self-seeking pleasures, surface-level acquaintances, and worldly pursuits? What is our life full of? And so as the year ends, we have to evaluate, what does it look like? What are we really filling our lives with? And then ultimately we have to consider whether or not our lives are full of Jesus. And are we waking up, taking advantage of being spirit-filled and filling our lives with things of God, but more importantly, actually being filled with God and full of Him and His presence and His goodness and experiencing the fullness of God. And so I spent the morning and even the afternoon looking up and studying this topic of the fullness of God. And I got to tell you, it's somewhat complicated. It's somewhat challenging to really consider what it means to experience the fullness of God. And so I want to go to a couple verses and we'll unpack it. But here's the deal. When we receive Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, he comes into our hearts, into our lives. He fills our souls. But all too often we forget that this fullness of love, power, and goodness is actually in us. So if we're inviting him in, well, the fullness of God is poured into the fullness of Jesus, which then is and his spirit is then poured into us. And so we have this fullness in us. Yet we don't take advantage of it. Why? Because we're filled with eggnog and everything else, right? The world, we're filled with so many things with the world that we forget the fullness that we have available to us. And so Colossians, it says, for in Christ, there is all of God in a human body. So you have everything when you have Christ, and you are filled with God through your union with Christ. He is the highest ruler with authority over every other power. And then the Apostle Paul, he wanted his people to, and us, to fully experience God's power and love. And so in Ephesians, there's a longer part, but we'll focus on Ephesians 19. And to know the love of, this is his prayer for these people. And to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. That you may be filled with all the fullness of God. And so as we continue into our full holiday season and sports calendar, we've got to recognize that God's presence is all around us, and it's ultimately in us. And so we've got to fully embrace his unending love, which in many ways is so hard for us to comprehend because we have a limited understanding. But as we seek him, as we acknowledge that he's in us and that we have the access to him and the ability to tap into the fullness of who he is. So we don't get a little bit of Jesus. We have all of Jesus. So let's embrace that fullness that's available to us. Now, we don't get to experience the fullness of God until we're reunited in heaven in perfect harmony and eternity forever, right? And so this still is a broken world. But I read this earlier that it gave me a good understanding. We're like that little thimble, a little thimble. If you pour water, it's still a fullness of water. That little thimble is, if you took a little bit of the ocean, right? It's still the fullness of the ocean is in that little thimble. And yet it's just a thimble. And so we're just a human body, but the fullness of Christ is in us. The fullness of God is in us. And so, yeah, it's not the whole ocean of God that we just can't fully comprehend or fully understand right now. But it's a process of understanding that more and understanding his love and understanding that love is really what we're after. And that's what enables us to live this in the fullness, to live full of peace, hope, and live that spirit-filled life. And so we've got to understand the depth of his love in order to do that. And so ultimately we want to desire to be full of God instead of ourselves. All too often we're living lives where we're just full of ourselves. We're full of worldly pursuits when we can live lives full of meaning, purpose, joy, hope, love, and peace as we embrace the reality of the fullness of God that's available to us. So again, it's somewhat confusing. I forgive me for the parts that weren't maybe clear. I'm learning as well. But I just know that God is beyond our comprehension, the way that he loves us. But as we pray and seek him, we can understand more and more and experience him more and more. And our lives can be filled more and more with Jesus. That's what we want. We want this holiday season to be filled with him, not filled with the shenanigans, filled with him. So that's the encouragement. That's the challenge for all of us today. You can unpack that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm trying to think of where I want to start because I have multiple perspectives or comments. In one sense, yes, there's encouragement. We live in this weird time in the history of the world where there's pre-Christ and the way things operated. And then there's Christ, and then there's the end times. But we get to experience part of the things to come now. Like we have the Holy Spirit for those who are in Christ, but yet we're still waiting for a greater fulfillment. Like we have partial fulfillment of the Messiah, but he's still going to come back. We have partial fulfillment of relationship with God, being restored to God, but then we're still waiting a fuller fulfillment of that, which is encouraging because we're still like we've been saved, but we're also waiting for another sense of salvation from this world and fully being restored into heaven with God. So it's almost interesting trying to navigate this time period, that's what, I mean, the New Testament is all about. Not all about, but there's a lot in the New Testament, Paul's letters on living now, being just holding on to what you've received now, remaining faithful, remaining obedient. And this idea of fullness, in its partial confusion, it's not all theological. Like there's practical wisdom in God's word on what it means to be full, to be filled, especially for those of us in the United States with how easy it is to be distracted. There's so many things begging for our attention. Again, especially this time of year. If you think about it, sit down, think of all that you have going on. Good things too. The good things, unless you do too much of them, but like think of everything at your church. Potentially churches doing plays, different services, outreach events. Then you have, again, the sports schedule, your team, your different leagues you watch, the NFL, college football at the end, important games, NBA starting, getting going, college basketball, soccer. If you're a major league soccer guy, playoffs right now, there's so much time with family, your jobs, a lot of people's jobs with the end of year quotas to meet. If you're working the holidays, if you're a student or a teacher finishing the semester, there's so much going on. So it's like, okay, what practical things can I hold on to? And Paul tells us, and Scripture tells us, Galatians 5, walk by the Spirit, not by the flesh. Ephesians 5, you talked about 5:19. Paul says, be filled with the Spirit. That's different than being initially receiving the Holy Spirit, but being filled with the Spirit in the moments of every day. Am I walking in obedience and submission to the Spirit's leading? Or am I feeding the flesh? And how do you know? The fruits.
That's right.
There's fruits of the Spirit, which is the love, joy, peace, all of that, faithfulness. Or there's fruits of the flesh, and it's just living in sin. And you just inwardly reflect, especially now. It's so easy when we're distracted. I know, looking at my life, what's the first thing to go a lot of times? Time in God's word, spending time in prayer, looking for the needs of others. It is so hard when we have a full schedule and full distractions to look for the needs of others.
Right.
All we do is care about ourselves in moments like that's what we do all the time. As humans, we are the best at looking after our own self, even though that's not the actual best for us. God knows it's best for us. But it just, now when it's so hard, we have to reflect, okay, what am I being filled with? Am I living my days in submission to the Spirit? Am I producing fruit, or am I selfish? Am I feeding the flesh? And that's an important question to ask right now, especially like you said, Bryce, this time of year where it is so easy to just be focused on self and filling ourselves with, sometimes they're good things, but too much of them, and oftentimes bad things. So what better time to look today before we finish the year and we start next year thinking, man, the last 3 months, I really put my faith on the back burner. We don't want that to be the case.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. And it takes a lot of evaluating and figuring out, man, yeah, my life is just full of stress for me. I've got stress, full of busyness, full of sports, it's like, so you go down the list, you start thinking about it. And so, yeah. So for each of us, it's really considering those things, am I full of worry and fear, or am I full of joy and peace? And what do we want our lives to be marked by? And what do we want it to be filled with? Do we want our lives to be filled with meaningful relationships? Then we
Mm-hmm.
gotta take the effort to do that and be intentional about that. And do we want our lives full of Jesus, where it's just like, man, when people meet us and they talk to us and they experience us, they actually experience Jesus shining through us because we're full, we're filled with Him, and so that should be evident in our lives. And so if we're just like everybody else, just like the world, then we're not gonna stand out. And so we have to recognize the fullness that's in us, the fullness that's available, the fullness of God, and then live out of that fullness and have that life filled with the right things. So that's the encouragement for us today. It's a challenge, especially this time of year. It really is. But I just wanted to put that at the forefront of our minds and hearts today, especially as we even I wrote this in the devotional, putting together this show today. I asked Luke, I was like, we got so many options. It was a full weekend of sports, and especially going back to Thanksgiving, which was a full day of 3 games on a Thursday, and so that kicked things off. And so where do we start? And we're already running out of time on our show today. It's been a full show. We've barely gotten anything. But that's kind of how our lives are too. Man, I'm so full. But then wait, did I do what I wanted to do? So, we can even ask our question. Did I talk about what we want to talk about? Well, most importantly, we want to talk about Unpack This. So we got to that, right?
That's
so
right.
Maybe we don't get to break down the NBA today. So that gets squeezed out. But thankfully we did do Unpack This. So
That's a good analogy. I mean, think of Thanksgiving Day, all the food available, but you still have your favorite things. Like when you're full, you think there's many times where I felt, gosh, I should have just had more of my favorite. But it's so tempting. I got to try everything. I got to try everything. I need to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then I'm disappointed in my lack of self-control. I just want to, at the end of the day, I really want to enjoy the things that I enjoy. In faith, look back, like what is our time spent with? What matters? I don't know, it's just so easy for myself to get away from what truly matters. There's so many things. Well, I need to try that. Well, yeah, I need to say yes to that.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we're going to have to say no to a lot of things, but instead say yes to what actually matters, which what matters is growing in our faith in Christ. And that is our priority, feeding that, submitting to the Spirit leading us. And then, okay, what else? What other good things from God can I enjoy? We talked last week how to enjoy sports as a follower of Christ. Sports are great, but are they priority? No. Walking with Jesus is the priority. And then, okay, how can I enjoy sports knowing that it's not the priority? Same thing. There's so many things that are begging to be the priority at this time of year. We can't possibly do it all, especially if faith is the priority.
Amen. And then the other thing too, my goal or challenge for myself is, to enjoy this holiday season, Christmas season. I was watching one of the movies last night. They made such an emphasis on the holiday season. They wouldn't say Christmas. I was like, all right, come on. But anyway, that's all right. That's another
Holiday break. It's Christmas.
It's fine. It is hot. That's fine. I'm not going to get into all that. It is. There are holidays, Thanksgiving and all that, but it's just funny when people go out of their ways to not say Christmas. Okay. That's on you. But my goal for this season of life is to be full as I enter into the fullness of the season. So I want to be fully aware of God's presence, fully aware of what this holiday celebrates, right? And the story I was reading in Luke today about the story of Christmas. I want to start this season with that at the forefront, right? I want to be filled with the knowledge and understanding of the story, but more importantly, the understanding and experiential love of Christ, that I experience that, so that as I sing the songs that I love, the Christmas songs, I'm filled with the Spirit. And so I can enjoy those songs and actually hear the meaning of a lot of those rich, Spirit-filled songs or biblical songs, I should say, that have so much meaning in it. But if we're not full of that, those words will just fly. They won't mean anything to us. So that's the other side of it too. Is even as we're watching sports, we can do it with a different lens, which we talked about last week. So anyway, we could talk all day about it, but that's the other thing too. We can step into some of this with that right perspective, with that right fullness. Tapping into
exactly.
So, all right. let's get to a couple of the other NFL stories. But before we do that, I did want to share the Medishare moment of the week. And I am thrilled that Dick Vitale still calls college basketball games at his age.
PTP. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Oh, that's good, Luke. I like that.
Not bad.
Strong.
Not bad.
Very strong. He's a diaper dandy.
Diaper dandy. Oh, so good.
But so I am a Dick Vitale apologist. I like, because some people like, oh, his time, he's well, people call him Dookie V, so maybe that's why I like him too. But but regardless, I think he's great for the sport. I love him. I'm glad that John Madden went as long as he could. I'm rooting for Lee Corso to keep going as long as he could, as long as he can. Same with Dick Vitale, Terry Bradshaw. I've been on record saying that I like these guys as long as they can. So the story though with Dickie V is that he's battling, is it lymphoma? So he's got chemotherapy going on, yet he's still calling games. And that to me is what's so special for him. And so October 18th was when he learned that he had lymphoma, months after having several surgeries to remove melanoma. And so here he is courtside getting all choked up. If you saw the video when it was on social media, it was awesome.
Greatness.
So that's the moment of the week for me. I'm a fan of his and all that he's now going through. And you think about it, he's been one of the most outspoken voices for the Jimmy V Foundation and, what Jimmy V went through. And now here, Dick Vitale is at this stage of his life going through this, yet continuing to call games because he loves college basketball. Oh, that's why I love Dickie V, because
so good.
He brings the enthusiasm, the excitement to the sport. And I love the sport. So I want to listen to that kind of guy. I don't want to listen to Billy Packer. You probably don't even remember Billy Packer, but the negativity that he brought to the sport. Okay, no thanks. I'm out. But guys like Clark Kellogg and Dick Vitale and Jay Bill he's just a realist. He gives the critical side of things, but he also loves college basketball. Jay's awesome too. Whereas Dickie V just focuses mainly on the positives, which is fun. So anyway, he was calling the game. And then I saw another article too, making a push for him to finally get his opportunity to call a March Madness game for CBS and Turner. He's done the international games. Let's get him on the main stage. Let's get him. He needs to be calling day one, March Madness. When we tune in to watch the Cinderella upsets, Dickie V needs to be on the call. Okay.
100%.
Not let's listen to him on, ESPN News at 10 o'clock that night as he recaps the games from his house. That's nice. We'll take that. Okay. We'll get a little analysis after the day, but let's put him right front and center on the call. And let's also bring back Gus Johnson while we're at it. But
exactly.
Let's have Dick Vitale.
We had to make our every show Gus Johnson plug. Definitely. You got away from the Jake Delhomme shout out, but if we're sacrificing the Jake Delhomme shout out for a Gus Johnson plug, that's okay with me. But I mean, Dickie, go ahead.
Our Medishare moment of the week brought to you by Medishare. Text the word unpack to 201-201 for information about Medishare. That's text the word unpack to the number 201-201. So your Medishare moment of the week, Dickie V.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Just Dickie V's great. He's so great for the sport.
You like him as a younger guy.
Oh my gosh, yes. As a kid, not even realizing necessarily who he was, there was an element of I wanted to watch a game knowing he was on the call.
Yeah.
His enthusiasm, his iconic lines, his energy. I mean, my buddies and I growing up would just take turns trying to impersonate him. Or if we were playing basketball and someone made a play, someone was doing a Dickie V impersonation. It was like playing low hoop basketball in middle school. Dickie V spirit was going to be there on that driveway. So
tremendous.
Love Dickie V.
Very cool. All right, so switching gears, we'll talk a little NFL. And for me, there was some clarity yesterday that there are just some teams that maybe we've been wondering about, and I feel like, all right, they're now in the mix, or now they're pulling away. And I think Green Bay beating the Rams, that was a big statement game. I thought the Rams would win that coming off of a bye, but the Packers, despite the little one game where Aaron Rodgers wasn't there, and despite the toe injury, and even the injury to Aaron Jones, they just keep winning.
Oh, they're so good.
And
Good.
So I'm buying into them. They're going to be there in the mix. The Colts-Bucks game was awesome. And as you know, I'm a Colts fan. I am on the Carson Wentz bandwagon, the Frank Reich bandwagon, and I still am. And I was listening to, I guess it was Greeny today, talking about that could be a Super Bowl preview. I'm thinking the same thing. The Bucks-Colts is not far-fetched from a Super Bowl. We know the Bucks. They're the team. The Bucks and the Packers, as of today, they're the favorites out of the NFC. People can't forget about Arizona, but we're kind of forgetting about Arizona, especially with Kyler Murray. We don't know what's going on with him.
They're the most quiet 2-loss team in the history of the NFL, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, because Kyler's been out for a number of weeks now.
Yeah.
And then they had a bye week. But the Colts, they played the Bucks tough. You can just tell they've got it. They've got things rolling. Like they're even in their losses, you can see, okay, they've got it figured out. Carson Wentz has it figured out. They didn't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor as much, which appeared to be by design. I'm just not sure that design was as great in the second half.
I was listening to a radio show today. Apparently, the Colts dialed up 26 pass plays in a row at one point.
I didn't love that.
Unreal. But Reich said, hey, Wentz was dialed. He was hot.
Yeah. No, he was. He was different receivers, tight ends. It was awesome. But you still got to leverage Jonathan Taylor. Let's not to me, he was forgotten. And that may have affected things in the long run because it was a tight game. So I guess it could have gone either way. But I'm all in on the Bucs. They're fine. Any concerns about them over the last couple of weeks? Just some injuries, but Gronk's back. They're good to go. And then as far as teams that they're just done. Like I've said, the Saints are done. Still feel that after their beatdown from the Bills. Bills beat them down Thursday night, Thanksgiving night. My Panthers are done. That was ugly yesterday against the Dolphins. You got to beat the Dolphins. Now, I don't know what the Dolphins are doing. They've won 4 straight. I'm not willing to buy into them. I'm just not a big Tua guy. But that was dreadful. What are you laughing at me? Laughing at my misery?
Just your phrase. Got to beat the Dolphins.
You got to beat the Dolphins. Always. You can never lose to the Dolphins. You never want to lose to them. Sorry, Ron.
You got to beat them.
But my good buddy Ron, he listens to the podcast. No, forget it. That was I'm in church, seeing people after church. Hey, what do you think about the game today? Oh yeah, you got to beat the Dolphins, Panthers. Oh yeah, they got this. Cam. Oh yeah, Cam, CMC.
It's going to be the keys are going to get handed back to Darnold. Darnold's going to get the keys again. It has been a roller coaster in Carolina this year.
I second guessed even turning on the Panther light in the studio. I'm going to turn the light off. Symbolically, the light is being turned off.
The lights are out. The lights are out in Carolina.
Panthers, thanks for playing. Good night to them. I already said good night to the Steelers. Good night to the Vikings. Good night to the Browns. Sorry,
Good
Brown.
night. Good night to Baker Mayfield.
Good night. They don't listen to me. Why aren't they listening to Unpacking It? Put in Case Keenum and salvage the season. I'm telling you. When did he play? Did they win? They beat the Broncos, right? On Thursday night. Thank you. Put him back in the game.
At this point, Baker is hurting their chances to make the playoffs.
An unbelievable defense. They were great last night. They should have won the game when you look at, hey, they held Baltimore under 20 points. What more can you ask for? What do you want? I mean, come on. Put a quarterback in there that's going to get it done.
And they have weapons.
Yes,
Jarvis Landry, Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Oh,
they've got 15 tight ends to throw to.
Seriously.
They spent all their money on tight ends. And Njoku got into the end zone
and
last night.
They're sending out a banged up Baker. Oh, what are we doing?
I know. It's frustrating.
After years of misery in Cleveland, to just make what seems like just bonehead errors in who you're fielding. You have a team that can be a playoff team. After years, if that wasn't even a possibility. And you're just going to waste it.
And now with Cincinnati winning and running the ball well with Mixon, their defense is pretty good. Oh. So that was a big win for them yesterday. That was a statement game for the Bengals to sweep the Steelers. That turns the light off. Sorry, Steelers. And I love it, but I love Tomlin, but that's over for them. And then Let's see. Oh, the Eagles. Sorry, Henry. I mean, you got to beat the Giants if you're the Eagles. That was your chance. And to me, I mean, everybody kind of beats themselves up in the divisional games. I understand that, but that was a ugly loss for the Eagles, and Hurts, multiple interceptions. Not a good look for them. So that might be the end. I'm probably not fully saying they're totally out, but they're right. They're limping along.
There were some really good games, but then that Philadelphia and Giants game, snoozer, 13-7.
I know.
The Browns Ravens game. Oh,
oof.
I mean, that's I'm just gonna head turn this off. That's one of those games.
I said I would rather be watching Baker Mayfield commercials on loop. I would much rather do that than watch whatever that was.
That's I'm convinced I can get behind right there.
Yeah. Give me those, or even the progressive. Don't become your parents. You put those on with the Baker.
I should have said those. That is the best commercial going right now.
I know.
The Baker ones are great.
They're great.
The AT&T foam finger one, where she does the different foam fingers, that one's good.
I haven't seen that.
But the progressive, don't be like your parents.
Gosh,
it's not even close. That's the best commercial going right now. It is. It's funny that Madeline keeps saying, "Yeah, I really think you're just a big commercial guy." Is what I'm realizing about you, because I mean I'm dialed on commercials right now. I'm audibly laughing. The progressive ones. I mean, I am locked in to watching those. They're hilarious. Oh,
yeah, they're so brilliant. They're right on.
My biggest NFL takeaway right now, just fast forward to the playoffs, because I cannot wait for them. The amount of teams, and we just keep hammering this point every week, but the amount of teams in each conference who has a legit chance at winning, like the playoffs are going to be unbelievable this year.
They should
think of the Chiefs are on no one's radar. The Chiefs,
the Colts,
Tennessee, we're unsure.
Credited,
but like there is, 3, 4, 5 teams in each conference who has a shot. I mean, I just cannot wait. It's going to be unbelievable.
I do think the Titans are going to have a really tough go at it the rest of the way. I mean, Ryan Tannehill he's looking around going, what am I going to do?
It's very true. Especially with no A.J. Brown, no Derrick Henry.
It's so costly. You can't lose that many weapons. So they're in trouble. To me, teams like the Chargers and the 49ers, I just see all the potential and all the talent there that if those teams get in, they can get hot and go. But, the Chargers are letting the Broncos hang around in that division. The Raiders are still hanging around. You mentioned the Chiefs. So that's really the tightest, toughest division right now, which is fascinating. So I can't believe the Broncos keep hanging around. They just keep hanging around.
I just think of like my Cowboys. We go on to win the division. We'll get the Rams for wild card week. The Rams
beat you guys a couple years ago, right? That was the
Yep. That was
on their way to the Super Bowl. Is that the one?
Yes.
It's not Gurley. No, that was the end of the Rams. No, because I don't think Gurley was running well then.
Was that the C.J. Anderson game? Was he on the Rams? Yeah.
I think that was.
Gosh,
Yeah,
C.J. Anderson. Goodness.
What a legend.
Well, he's one of those. It's Aaron Rodgers and C.J. Anderson. I have so much scar tissue from them.
They'll get you.
Unbelievable. But I just where I'll be come NFL playoffs time.
Yes.
You know exactly where I'll be.
I can't wait for sure. All right. Speaking of the Rams, I'm excited because we're teaming up with a new movie coming out called American Underdog, the story of Kurt Warner. And it's coming out Christmas Day, which is huge. So to me, the Kurt Warner story is one of the best sports stories, really just life stories, an underdog story of all time that I'm aware of. And I've seen the movie already, and I can highly recommend it. It's maybe not quite what you think it's going to be. So you just got to see it and experience it and go in with kind of no expectations. It's not fully, it's not all sports. It's not all faith. It's not all romance. It's kind of a little bit of everything. And so you can watch it with your wife or girlfriend, or if you're a woman, you'll enjoy it. Or if whoever, everybody will enjoy it. If you're a non-sports fan, I should say, even if you're a non-sports fan, you will enjoy it. And so that's the exciting part of about this movie. And so anyway, today on the show, we are going to air the trailer for this movie. And so to give you a little excitement and let it build and make some Christmas plans. So go see it that day that it comes out or sometime around the Christmas season.
And it's a story that is just not necessarily known by the public. Like it's one of those for a great story.
Yep.
It's crazy how many people just don't know about the life of Kurt Warner.
That's right. Yeah, no, my wife, who's not a sports fan, that's kind of why I was saying that she loved it. Like it was just an awesome movie. And so like Kurt's life story, even before he made it to the Rams, is wild and fascinating. And then you talk about just kind of the football, the fact that he went from arena football to the Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me? Well, go back. Northern Iowa to the Hall of Fame. It's remarkable. And so, yeah, there'll be some details of the story that you didn't even realize, even if you're a diehard sports fan, or you'll be reminded of, and then you'll put it in perspective and go, oh my goodness, this is remarkable. So Luke, let's play the trailer. And then after the trailer, we'll do Tap Drill with Henry and we'll wrap up this Monday show. Hit it.
Destiny belongs to the underdogs. You want to prove that?
Football. Tell me about that.
As long as I have a ball in my hand, I feel alive. Kind of like how I feel right now.
I'm staying here. I got work to do.
Work? The NFL's not going to draft some dude from the 1AA school in Iowa.
There were other offers. Can't you just...
I called every team in the NFL. No one's interested. Can I get one of your applications?
I promised that I would take care of you and the kids. So that is exactly what I'm going to do.
If this is your dream, don't give up on it.
Football.
Yeah, they didn't pick me.
I pick you.
I'll pick you too.
Kurt Warner. You got the whole package, kid. The world just needs more time to see it.
He came up with this whole arena concept.
Arena football.
It's like a circus.
People love the circus.
I like the circus.
You pay me per touchdown?
I also pay you to win.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
Hey, Kurt.
We've been trying to reach you.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm with the Rams.
This guy's Kurt. Slow as molasses. He's beneath the standards of this franchise.
That's what people said about me when I came here.
All those years gave you something others didn't have. Made you ready for this moment.
Kurt Warner out of the Arena League. It's one of those stories that's too good for the movies. The circus guy here, he was bagging groceries 5 years ago.
Go out there and you show the world what I've known all along. You were born for this.
This is my time. I know who I am, and I know why I'm here.
There you go.
Man.
Woo! It's good. It
Wow.
is good. So Dennis Quaid plays Dick Vermeel, and he nails it. Like he's not in the movie that much, but the scenes that he does have are great. He nails the character who Dick Vermeel is, because he was a great coach. So yeah, and he
Dennis
was such a
Quaid.
wonderful
Dennis
coach.
Quaid's a beast. So
He's the best.
yeah, if you're an anti Kurt Warner, if you have some sports scar tissue from Kurt Warner, see it for Dennis Quaid.
That's right. Yeah, if Dennis Quaid's in it, I'm in. And then Zach Levi, so he plays Kurt Warner. He was in this show called Chuck. It was a show I was into like in college. Great show. Oh, so much fun.
You seem like a Chuck guy.
Yeah, Chuck guy. Respect them. So anyway, it's a good movie, fun. I think you'll enjoy it. So we're thankful to partner with them. I actually wrote discussion guides based on the movie. So teams are going to use those. So pretty cool opportunity for Unpacking It. So yeah, should be a great movie Christmas Day. There you go. All right, Henry, let's do a little tap drill. Some of the stories we haven't had a chance to get to, some of the other shenanigans going on in the sports world. Take it away.
What's going on, boys? And who doesn't love shenanigans in sports? So let's start off with the Bucks game. Now, you guys talked about the Bucks game earlier today, where the Bucks and Tom Brady wound up with the win. But the story of this tap drill is Bucks defensive tackle Vita Vea, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but he actually lost a tooth in the middle of the game. If you actually get a chance to go see it, or if you go to ESPN, you could actually see a piece of his tooth get knocked out while he was actually taking on a double team from two offensive linemen. So the tap is this: are football players tougher than, say, hockey players who walk around, half of them, without any teeth?
Well, I don't want to make a blanket statement based on Vita Vea.
Yeah, no, you got it right. You're good.
I was watching the game. I tried to keep. I watched it on Red Zone channel, but that was an awesome game, and I did see that. And he was just so nonchalant about it. It was no big deal. I mean, he lost a tooth, so it was a little crazy. But football players are tough. But I still go hockey. To me, if you're running around on skates at that speed, you got a puck flying around, I still go hockey on that. But
so it's clearly hockey players are tougher. If you know a buddy who plays hockey, or just look into the injuries hockey players play through, I mean, it's jaw dropping, like broken ankles. It's unbelievable. So clearly hockey, and then we just got to blanket statement, shout out rugby. Those guys are barbarians.
Yeah. That's like another level.
That is almost just laughable, the contact they play with. So it's almost not even fair to include them in this debate, but I would go hockey over football players.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually brushing off the ice skates. I'm going to, over the holiday season, I'm going to try and get some ice skating in.
Wow.
So
you're a liquid and frozen water guy. You're a longtime swimmer. And now you're taking your towns to the ice.
Yeah.
You own your own ice skates, or you're going to go rent?
I haven't ice skated in probably like 6-7 years, maybe. Jody and I did when we were first dating and maybe early marriage.
You may need to ride the wall for a little bit. Hand on the wall for a couple laps. I
didn't learn to ice skate until much later in life. So I'm very rusty. And now I'm expected to teach little Maddie how to do it. I will throw this out there. Has anybody brought their 2-year-old ice skating? Is that too early? Now, a few weeks ago, we discussed the car wash and the debacle that was. Am I stepping into a dangerous situation here? To me, she's so close to the ground, so I'm not so worried about she's going to like fall and hurt herself. But we're talking some major blades here. These are blades
of glory
on the ice skates. So,
are you a bender? One of all my hockey friends, when hockey players, their ankles bend inward because they have no ankle stability. They call them benders. So, are you an ankles in guy because you don't lace them up tight enough, or are you I know what I'm doing. I have good ankle mobility here.
Oh gosh, I don't even know the answer to that question. I broke my ankle as a kid, so I probably don't have the best of ankles. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I would think I would tie them tight though. That would be
I would say we need video evidence of this endeavor. We'll have to play on the show a video of you ice skating. I think that would be glorious.
Yeah.
Well, talking to the only Northeast guy of the bunch here, in answer to your question, Bryce, no. This is actually the perfect time for her to get on the ice, because up here in Connecticut, Connecticut is a basketball school. That is a basketball state more than it is a football state, but it is totally an ice hockey state. And we got kids on the ice hockey rink right now as young as about 4.
Okay.
So these kids are playing hockey. These little girls are playing hockey at 4 years old. So this is the time for you to put the skates on her and let her go.
All right, there we go. I'll let you guys. I'll get some video. It'll be fun. Be me
All right.
falling.
Take her to a Charlotte Checkers game.
There you go.
A little AAA hockey.
Yeah, let's go.
Speaking of North Carolina sports, did you guys remember that we actually had college basketball over the weekend? In particular, Duke beating number 1 at the time, Gonzaga, in what was a very hotly contested game, which could probably be a preview of the national championship if the cards play right. So if you guys scored the game, and if knowing what you guys know about Duke, what we know about Gonzaga, exactly what did we learn about this game?
Well, what I'm excited about with Duke is it's Coach K's final season. So everybody, it's locked in. Every game matters. Sometimes, early in the season, Duke falls maybe to a game or here or there, and it's like, hey, it's a good learning experience. To me, it's like Duke's ready to go. Like every game is adding to the K legacy at this point, and so beating a number 1 team like Gonzaga to say, whoa, timeout. No. Duke's number 1. So now Duke is the team to get through. So that's an early season statement game. But Gonzaga is really good. They're going to be awesome. They're going to be there in the end. I'll be pulling for them to be there. I was pulling for them to win it last year after Duke got out, but Duke actually has a championship caliber roster this year. So yeah, it was fun. That's a good early season. I mean, so we've already seen some great early season matchups in college basketball, but for Duke to go Kentucky and Gonzaga and then throw in what was it, the Citadel and Army in the middle of it. Let's go. Make some good wins to start the season.
Multiple things here. One, perhaps the most entertaining aspect of this game was the graphic that ESPN made of Gonzaga versus Duke. Duke's best player, Paulo Banchero, they used just a horrific picture of him. And he commented, like, what kind of picture is this? Because he was like the poster board for this game. And Duke Basketball replied on Twitter, said, hey, ESPN, if you ever need any pictures of our players, please let us know. So we can just never have this happen again. So that was hilarious.
Can you run the pictures by us first before you embarrass our players on national television?
Because they used a great picture of Drew Timme for Gonzaga, and then just a weird smile. I don't know, it looked very poor photo use for Duke, but fantastic game. I've always rooted for Mark Few to get a ring. Want him to get a ring after all he's done for that program. Gonzaga is just so interesting. They play no one all season in conference play. So if I was ever good enough to play Division I basketball and you're ever recruited by them, I don't know if I'd want to go play for Gonzaga. But this year, the non-conference games they've scheduled is ridiculous. Texas, UCLA, and then now playing Duke. So Gonzaga means business. This could be a Final Four game come March. And it was a great game. They lived up to the hype. But I also don't think the game matters that much. It's 1 versus 5. Both have an argument to be the best team in the country. Good for experience for these players.
Looks like basketball. Go ahead, Bryce.
I like the experience. You talk about UCLA, Gonzaga, Duke. Guys are actually back. Like a ton of freshmen, tons of big time recruits, all that.
I know.
Involved. But we also have some guys that we saw last year in the tournament.
It's so good for college basketball. Like the fact that Drew Timme, after last year, one of the best players in the country, is now back and is dominating. And Duke's got a couple old, obviously they're going to have good freshmen every year. Kentucky's an older team. It's just, this year in college basketball is going to be phenomenal.
Yes, I agree.
And the reason why it's going to be phenomenal, and just as you guys touched on it, is that we're so used to the one and dones. We're so used to kids going into college for 1 year just to get their names and get their faces out there, and then they're gone to the NBA. The best teams this year are the teams that are returning fourth-year seniors, fifth-year seniors, juniors. You're going to see the experience win out. And one of the teams that everybody's talking about is Calipari's Kentucky with the older group. So I'm going to love to see what the basketball landscape looks like, of course, once the Super Bowl is gone. But definitely, but always remember, football is king, always. And we got time for one last tap.
Now you're just trying to please Bryce with that one.
No, I'm not one of these, like, I love football and basketball. Those are my top 2 sports. So, and golf would be third. But But like when it's NBA season in the heart of it, I love the NBA. When it's college basketball at the heart of it, I love it. And during football
you don't
season,
want your food to touch. You don't want your food to touch. I'm going to enjoy football, and then I'm going to enjoy basketball.
Right.
I don't want my mashed potatoes touching my sweet potato casserole.
Right. We
Let's keep them
enjoy
separate.
football from September right up until December. And when December comes along and the NBA puts out those slate of games, we're like, my team, like my Giants are done anyway. Let's focus on what LeBron and company are doing, and let's focus on the NBA.
I'm a charcuterie board guy. Give me everything. I'm going to put it all in a blender. I wake Saturday mornings are soccer, transitioned into football in the afternoon. I'm dialed in for the weeknight games. So give me it all.
Luke loves the sports buffet, as we like to call it.
I am and in life, my goodness, can I tear up a buffet? Cece's Pizza, all you haters out there, I will not tolerate CC slander.
Oh, you see,
CC's still around. They close near us.
It's still a game changer. It's still a game changer here.
There you guys go talking about pizza. You guys talking about pizza. You haven't come to Brooklyn yet. You guys haven't had pizza until you come to Brooklyn. You see, y'all started this. Y'all can't be talking about pizza and you can't come up to the East Coast up here.
We got this squeezy. Give me Chicago deep dish. That's what I want.
Oh,
I'm a Chicago deep dish guy.
Give me thin crust. If it's thin crust or nothing. Ooh. I don't need the deep dish.
Nah, forget about it.
Give me the thin crust. Thin crust dipped in ranch.
If you don't on every corner here.
If you don't dip your pizza in ranch, you don't know what you're doing. So give me thin crust dipped in ranch. God. Give me the buffet. Yeah.
All right, before we get totally off the rails here, the final tap of the day, we talked about it earlier today with Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma for the sunny state of California and USC. But Oklahoma, don't despair, because a blast from the past is actually coming to coach the upcoming bowl game, whatever that bowl game is. And coming to the rescue is the one and only Bob Stoops. Yes, he's coming out of the broadcast booth, and he's going to coach Oklahoma in their bowl game for the absent Lincoln Riley. So, boys, let me ask you this. Who is one person who's currently in the booth, whether they were a player, whether they were a coach, that you would love to see back in the sport for one game?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I was not anticipating that. I was going to... Well, let me think about it for a moment, but just this story is fascinating to me that Bob Stoops is doing this. I kind of like that Fox pregame show. They got some good guys. Brady Quinn is becoming one of my favorite analysts. Maybe I just like his hair, but Bob Stoops has been a part of that. Bob Stoops has actually been a guest on Unpacking It. But to just like you're still keeping up with Oklahoma and you're still a part of the program, but then to step in on a big stage to be the fill-in coach, I just find this fascinating. I really do. Of course, he's the legend there that built that program up to what it is. But it's a huge. To me, I was kind of like, wait, what? Really? Okay, interesting.
It's hilarious to me. Like I was reading, he's been a part-time analyst for the past few years. Which, if anyone wants to define for me what an analyst is, like when Nick Saban brings in an analyst. What does that even mean? For Bob Stoops to be a part-time analyst?
Interesting.
What does that even mean?
It means that he's not going to give him the title of coach, but he's going to give him as an analyst / offensive consultant.
It's just so fun to me. But I mean, bring in Stoops, but I don't know. I can't think of anything that's ever happened like that. I'm trying to think of another example of what that would be like. It's just hilarious to me that Bob Stoops is, just promote an assistant. I don't know. It's interesting.
I know. So the one coach I'll say to come back is Bill Cowher. So Bill Cowher, to me, retired way young. And like, even here in Carolina, we were begging him to be the coach at one point, or NC State, I think, wanted him at one point. There were all these like potential, oh, come on, that'd be sweet to have Bill Cowher. But he never did it. He never came back. So I was always curious what he would do at another school or at another team. He was, of course, with the Steelers, but what would do, another NFL team or even a college team. So that question is always out there when I see him on CBS. So there you go. Somebody texted me yesterday. Oh, I don't like the Fox pregame show anymore. They're old and stale. And I'm like, man, I love the Fox. Fox is still my favorite. I watched a little bit of the CBS pregame show yesterday, but Fox to me is still they're the cream of the crop when it comes to NFL coverage. I still like College Game Day on ESPN, but I don't mind a little SEC pregame, Tebow and the boys, and then even that Fox pregame show, like I said, with Brady Quinn, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Bob Stoops. Those are pretty good guys. So there you go. We'll leave it on that.
Oh.
Henry, anything else?
No, actually, one of our listeners, Nathan Dancy, says, "How about Jimmy Johnson going back to the University of Miami?"
Jimmy, he's older at this point. I don't think he's coaching. He's done a nice job, as an analyst, but he's got to take the afternoon off a lot. He's got to keep his fishing open. He's not going back to Miami.
Keep his fishing open.
I like the idea though.
All right, boys, and that is Tap Drill, where we just have one and only legend, and that is my boy, Bryce Johnson.
Ooh, the legend.
Oh.
We do have to shout out your hair, Bryce. We've gone an hour and 26 minutes.
Yes.
I haven't done you due diligence and shouting out your good hair day today, which maybe you like Brady Quinn because you're just trying to adopt his hair, which he has good hair. So maybe that's the underlying background of your shout out to Brady Quinn.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to be like Brady Quinn? I'm not sure about that. But
well, either that,
career.
or he's trying to outshine the two USC guys, and Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush.
True. No, that's a good point. Well, thanks for the shout out. I switched gels, so maybe we need to get them as a sponsor. I'm not going to say who it is, but I switched gels, and so I got to give a shout out to the product.
That may be the biggest shout out today is hair gel for Bryce, because
there you go.
Bryce with no hair gel.
Ooh,
that is a sight to see.
Woof.
Shout out to when Bryce came and we had to Texas for a conference. Didn't bring hair gel, so hey, can we go eat dinner together? And then can you take me to Target to get some hair gel?
You saved the day, man. You saved my career just with that hair gel, man.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you left your hotel room. I could not believe it.
Wow. The lesson learned: always have a backup hat. Always need a hat, just in case. Just in case. So, all right, guys. Well, it was fun. It was a full show as we promised, and hopefully everybody's encouraged. Just to ask the question, all right, what am I full of? What is my life filled with? And is it filled with the right things? And are we tapping into the fullness of God and recognizing that God is full in Christ and Christ is in us and we are in him. And so we've got the fullness of God, the fullness of his love and power available to us in us. And let's live from a place of that and acknowledge that and embrace it and enjoy it and partake in it. So, have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next Monday. We've got some other podcasts dropping throughout the week, so make sure you subscribe to the Unpacking It podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will talk to you then. For Luke and Henry, I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. This has been the Unpacking It podcast presented by Medishare.